Hey, Tyler here. Making a quick video because while I was moving, getting stuff ready, I found this. Yeah, that right there. That right there. Um, this is the original approved Gen Con 9 Dungeons Collector Edition from, 1978, so very early in the game's history. Um, Judges Guild, second edition, preliminary and final rounds by Bob Blake. Um, Abraham from Talking About Games mentioned running games at conventions competitively for this sort of thing, like Dungeons and Dragons tournaments. And I can't remember the context exactly because that was a few days ago, but I knew I had this, and I just wanted to read the intro to it because I thought it was really interesting, even back in '78, what the designer was talking about. And it's in this absolutely tiny print. Designer's notes. A tournament based on Dungeons and Dragons is quite a challenge once all ramifications of play, scoring, etc. are taken into consideration. It soon became obvious that in order to have a viable tournament, in which many groups would adventure in the same dungeon and be compared against each other, simplicity would be the prime requisite. A logical, concise format would have to be used. My aim was to design a system whereby any number of DMs could run their groups through a dungeon section and end up with the same results, varied only by the skill of the players and the luck of the dice. This consistency could only be obtained through simple encounters, that is, no intelligent encounters at all, and a horde of belligerent monsters that attacked on sight and fought to the death. Thus, the DM did not have too wide a latitude in which to freelance, air quotes, as such actions could seriously damage my envisioned idea of the course of play. I would point out that the foregoing is not my idea of good design, but the thought of 10 DMs handling the same encounter in 10 widely divergent ways forced the simplistic design. The Lich was the only aberration from the design philosophy, but perusal of the description of the Hall of Gursk and of Gursk himself will give the general idea of how the encounter was envisioned. In the tournament itself, these guidelines proved sufficient to yield consistent encounters to group. Another important contributing factor in consistency in DMing was pre-rolled monster attacks. Each monster had 10 rounds of attacks rolled out, using Greyhawk for the number of attacks per round, and the damage each attack would do if it hit. Other determined variables, I assume that was pre, but there's a giant space there, were surprise, whether or not a monster would follow, and saving throws. All of this has been left out of this second edition, as I judged it neither desirable nor necessary for your enjoyment. Besides, what DM doesn't enjoy rolling dice in Terabang? Scoring in the preliminary round was done using 4 criteria: monster kills, treasure accumulated, solving traps, and penetration from the starting point towards the goal. And they're awarded based on different flat values and different things. In the final round, it's based on monster kills, treasure accumulated, solving traps, and the outcome of the encounter with the Lich. And then they score them based on different flat goals or dividing by 5 and different stuff. I am sure that you can see innumerable opportunities to spice up this scenario. Be my guest and make any changes you feel will improve play in your situation. Hopefully you will be able to glean many useful ideas from it, also to be used as is or fiendishly modified for your personal campaign. Yeah, I find that first point very interesting. This is not my idea of good roleplay. The idea that, this is like super railroady. There's basically no room for flavor. The DM here is playing the part of a computer AI. They're just, this is my code, and the players are giving me inputs, and I go, oh, what happens if the player presses A? If the player presses A, they attack. Okay, and if they attack, it does 7 damage, and this has 40 health. Okay, calculate. Oh, okay, and there's a randomization between, 7 and 10, so roll me a d4, please. That's pretty terrible. But what I find is interesting is he admits that it's terrible and says, we had to do this for a tournament-style play. And yet, to this day, we still have the same awful design in things like 5e Adventurers League and Pathfinder Society play, where you cannot give your players any magic items past this very limited range, and your players can't select this feat, even though we made it and put it in the book so that people could select it, because, oh, it would be too overpowered if they used it in this scenario, and people need to be able to hop from campaign to campaign with the same character and have everything in line with each other, and it's like, are we playing a tabletop role-playing game, or are we playing like a weird modular chess where we need everybody to be playing, with the same game pieces so that they can, like, it's just such a weird idea that's wholly antithetical to role-playing that it kind of makes me wonder. I left a comment on Shauner's video, one of Shauner's videos a while ago to this degree. Why aren't these players playing skirmish games? There's plenty of board game shops that would love for you to come and play Bolt Action or Mordheim or Necromunda, or let alone if you like the larger scale. But I'm assuming what these players like about D&D is playing a small scale wargaming thing. So there's so many great skirmish games out there that offer this same thing, to where you're not having to, like, gee, I wish there was a better way to drive this screw in than with a hammer. And it's like, why, there's a screwdriver right there. Why are you just pick up the screwdriver, use the right tool for the right job. And yeah, a role-playing game does not seem to be the right tool for this. Yeah, and we can go in. There's some nice little very classic artwork. Very simple dungeon construction. Sorry if that was horrifically muddled, because I just put that right in front of my face. And some DM notes. It's pretty classic, run-of-the-mill, old-school dungeon. Nothing too fancy about it. There's not much to it. You could run through this in a single day. Very interesting. They have mandatory rest on their timesheet. Time is to be marked off in melee rounds, 10 melee rounds per turn. There are no wandering monsters in the scenario, because of course that would be a disastrous thing to try and keep up with. And then there we have some of the other products provided by the Judges Guild, sorry. I don't know if you can see that. Half the reason I love collecting these old things is for all the old ads. Let's see, you can get Wilderlands blank hex sheet 17 by 22 for $3 for 4 of them on heavy stock. They don't say exactly what heavy stock, but... Oh, Thieves of Fortress Badabasaur. $3. Mm-hmm. Sweet. Oh, for a system for converting to hex grids. That's pretty cool. Judge's Shield. $1.98. Weird. I wonder... I guess they didn't need that extra cent. Ready ref sheets. Tegel Manor. Character Chronicle cards. What are these? Here be... I guess that's for name, title, history, features. Very strange that Gygax had... Like, the only real role-playing that Gygax had was this strange obsession with a wrong interpretation of Old World Knights. The paladin must say thou and thee, but he didn't use them correctly, because Old English used to have you. It was just, you was just formal and plural, much like in Spanish and French today. Have the differentiation between the informal singular, in French tu, and the formal / plural vous. We had thou for singular and informal, and you for the plural and formal. So, he's asking that paladins maintain this in character of calling everyone the informal. Some silly things. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting little look. I'm just going to tag talking about games Abraham in, because I don't remember in what video he mentioned this. But yeah, a little ramble about linguistics there at the end, but I hope you guys found that interesting. Let me know if you guys have anything like this, any old little gems of Dungeons and Dragons history, or just old RPG history in general. Thanks.